And then they didn't do a deal where he just was a pinball for a huge comeback where Lee went from zero to hero overnight in a second. Keith Lee hit that fucking power slam, jackhammer, whatever the fuck he calls it, out of nowhere. Boom, 1, 2, 3. And it got a huge fucking pop. Because what a match. And they made it believable. It was like 30 years ago when I was watching Ernie Ladd work with Ricky Morton. Only this time, instead of Ernie being the veteran, the Giant leading it, it was the fucking little guy that was leading the Giant. But same thing. It made sense. I have no finish for this bit, so I will take a small bow.
I thought it was really good. I'm very high on Keith Lee. And Roddy Strong's one of those guys that, he proved me wrong. I was never a fan of him in Ring of Honor. I just thought he was bland. He didn't bring anything to the table. And
he was. He brought plenty to the table, but you only knew if it was in the ring.
Right. But he now, like you brought up earlier for the tag team match, how you like the four of them coming out together. He may exude the most charisma at all of them when they come out.
Yeah, whatever has happened, because I tried and struggled, and many people were witness to it, and Roddy will probably admit to it, to get him to do promos with any passion and emotion, and now, he's over the top. And so, but he really, and he's been in the business now easily 15 years, but he's still young and obviously in tremendous shape. So,
you think it was the right time to put the North American belt on Keith Lee?
Well, if you're going to book that match, I think now was probably the time, because if he'd got beat again, you can't beat a giant or deprive a giant of his goal like that for too long before the people get convinced, well, maybe he's just not going to do it. You can beat Ricky Morton up like a drum and let him, chase the title forever before he gets it. But a giant like that can't be foiled too many credible ways. And then I did like the way they closed it. They got the huge pop with Keith Lee, winning the title. But then, so as not to leave Roddy like a plate full of piss, as Reeser Bowden would say, here comes Imperium, and they get in a 4-on-4 with the Era and a big brawl and craziness. And I also loved the one spot in the middle of the brawl that one time Walter and Adam Cole face off, block the kick, and chop him, and Cole takes a fucking backflip. The chop sounded like a goddamn rifle shot, and the people blew for one chop and the way Cole sold it. And instead of, goddamn, on the other channel, somebody may have been eviscerated and thrown into thumbtacks or whatever. But we'll get to that in a moment. But
I know we're not there yet, but I'm waiting for Keith Lee versus Walter.
Boy, now that will be interesting, because that's one of those matches that unless they have it in practice first and figure out a way to make it really good, they shouldn't have it at all. Because people's appetites would be whetted just like ours were just a second ago, to the point where if it's not outstanding, then they might be outstanding in the fucking street. But if they can put something really good together, that will be, and of course Walter would be the leader there, but that might be interesting. Anyway, your final NXT thoughts.
This goes to my original comment. There were things I really liked, and I really liked the North American title match, and I was looking forward to it. But I felt there were things on the show that went too long, so that I wasn't as excited when the match actually aired that I was when the show first started. I understand it's a tag team tournament. You want the matches to have some weight to them, but the first match went 20 minutes, and that kind of set the tone for me. And again, I think about the Monday Night War, and a lot of us used to complain, WCW, they put these great guys out there, they have 6-minute matches. I don't know. The older I get, the more I'm seeing the allure of the 6-minute match on some of these shows. Not every match has to go through the commercial break. Even if I'm into a match, if it's the picture-in-picture, I lose interest.
Yo, yeah. I can't watch that fucking thing. And if somebody's watching a regular television rather than a big screen, it's ridiculous. But I agree with you, and and plus 20 years ago, more of those guys could have gone 20 minutes, probably, because they had more experience at it than these guys today. But they're doing everything, but it's always The matches that really get over are the ones that are different, that make sense, but that also are different than your average match. And, you know, some of these are and some of them aren't. As a matter of, let's, on the other channel, the first match was for the All Elite Tag Team Championship, Paige and Omega against SCU. And this was a half an hour fucking production on the other channel. So it's not like they're counter programming. It's just all 30-minute tag team matches between 8 and 8:30, right? They're still doing the thing where Paige and Olivier are cross purposes, going to break up. Are they getting along? What the fuck? They're teasing all that shit. But God damn it, they've already botched the thing up, had the, you know, fuck up and hit each other, whatever the fuck. I don't know what they're doing. Why do they, at this point, why do they still trust each other, or are they teaming? And then Olivier's entrance video makes it look like he's airing his home videos as a tourist in Japan.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, you know, I've noticed it before, but it's like, why? If you're trying to hype him up to come out, why are we watching him casually walk through the streets of Tokyo with his backpack on?
Yeah, and then when he did that, I was jumping ahead. When he did the interview later on with him, it was just like, man, he's just mealy-mouthed. And he looks like a fucking guy that wanders around the streets of Japan and comes in and makes a lot of faces and points his fingers and does prissy-prancy jazz dancing. And he's wishy-washy verbally. And I don't know. This match was like an old time spot show match. We say all the time on this program they do too much. In this case, they didn't do anything. It took forever to get started. There were no baby faces and heels because the people on that. And by the way, the fans did not look like a bunch of people I want to be on a fucking boat with. I'll tell you that. But the fans like everybody, so they're cheering for everybody. So instead of a face-heel dynamic, each guy just did some moves to each other. More backslap, blind tags and stuff. SCU kind of became heels when they cut Adam Page off. Got some heat on him. Excalibur still sounds like a fucking guy that won an amateur contest to get to call a match with the real pro guys. Olivier looks like an awkward swan have you noticed when he's doing anything but his moves, when he's trying to throw a kick or a stomp, he raises his leg up and down like a fucking long stork-legged bird, and his punches are when he has to kick or punch or fight is just they did simultaneous cold tags out of a set of fucking heat. Blick. Why? Paige finally hits Olivier with the buckshot lariat. And then Scorpio Sky gets a 2 count. And they went to break. It's 20 minutes in already. They've had the point where the one guy misses his move and hits his partner with his big finish, the buckshot lariat. But it's not enough to put his partner down for more than a 2 count by the tag team champion. And then they go to break. And I did try to watch the picture-in-picture here where they did every devastating move ever to Olivier and Adam Page. And they did another simultaneous cold tag in the picture-in-picture. Then they came back up on the air, and there was Olivier and Adam Page working together as a team and fresh as daisies. Go back and watch this whole thing again now that I just said that and tell me that the things that I just recounted to you did not fucking happen. And then Paige hits the buckshot lariat outside on fucking Scorpio Sky and inside on fucking Frankie Kazarian and 1, 2, 3. So basically, and that was the only impressive thing, honestly, about this match. But basically, he established he can hit the tag team champions with it and beat them, but he hits Olivier, his partner, with it, but that's only worth a 2 count. And I don't fucking know. And then to help celebrate the tag team title change that took almost a half an hour, here come the Balding Bucks or the Young Fucks, whichever their new name should be, dressed like college fucks on spring break. Baggy shorts, looked like flip-flops, some kind of fucking sockless footwear, baggy T-shirts, and goddamn a backwards baseball cap, looking like children just jumped over the rail and they're helping the fucking guys that don't really like each other celebrate. I don't fucking know. So that was 30 minutes. But then it was saved because guess what happened right at 8:30, right at prime bottom of the hour channel switching time. Guess what happened, Brian?
I don't recall the order of events.
2 nationally unknown young lady wrestlers were on their way to the ring on TNT at 8:30. After a 30-minute fucking tag team match where they did it backwards. So this show already was in the fucking drink. But, I mean, talk to me about the fucking tag team match.
I mean, I'll repeat what I said, I think, last week. I'm finally interested in Adam Page. They still haven't explained exactly what this dynamic with him and Omega is. I said it last week. It just seems like Adam Page has a drinking problem and Kenny's his sober friend, hoping that somehow can get him back to being the person he was. And new tag team champions. In terms of the overall picture, it does create an interesting dynamic where the team that everyone thought would be the champions coming into AEW, the Young Bucks, now they're, I guess Adam Page is also in their elite group. Now 2 other members of the elite of the tag team champions, so where does that lead you? Despite what you think of the individual wrestlers, it is an interesting dynamic. It's just the booking doesn't always explain everything or why things are happening or where things are going. But
well, now that you brought it up all like that, all right, but anyway, here comes, we finally get to see Priscilla Kelly, the tampon girl. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, she pulled what was purported to be her used tampon out at a show in a dive bar and shoved it in another girl's mouth to get on the internet. This is who they're hiring over on TNT.
Darby Allin's wife.
Well, there you go. So nepotism and all the other isms. I said earlier that after seeing Priscilla Kelly, Tony Storm looks like Chigusa Nagayo, Britt Baker morphed into Mildred Burke. They have, Britt Baker has, I think, pretty much been winless as a single on their air. And Priscilla Kelly has never been seen before on national television. And they start them out at 8:30 and then immediately go to a break after Priscilla Kelly. And this is where the first thing I wrote, Priscilla Kelly can't lock up. The first move of the match, when she goes to lock up with Britt Baker, I swear to God, she would have been screamed at by Dr. Tom Pritchard in wrestling school. The girl couldn't lock up, and here we go, and now we're going through a break. And on the other side, it was bad indie girl wrestling. And finally, Britt Baker gets a win over somebody that's not even ready to fucking work spot shows on this national television program. I've been championing Britt Baker. She's an American. She speaks English. People will actually like her, not like Riho. She is attractive and she's professional and she can do PR because she speaks the language, unlike Riho. She's a dentist and a professional woman, gives the young girls somebody to look up to, play off of this, get mainstream publicity. What do, Brian? They're not only switching her heel, they didn't tell her how to be a heel. Have you ever seen anybody twisting in the wind on television on an interview like that in your life?
Literally in the wind.
In the wind, on a boat. And by the way, I guess we should have mentioned, yes, they're on the Jericho cruise. The boat, the 60-mile-an-hour winds. If the WWE was going to do a wrestling show on a boat, it wouldn't have looked like this. For any other promotion to do a wrestling show on a boat, that's a cool thing. But when you're a promotion that's saying not only you're going head-to-head with the WWE, but you're going to kick their ass before you ever even get on the air, that's what they were saying. No, this looked like a wrestling show on a boat, not like a WWE event on a boat would look, is all I'm saying. And the fact JR came wear his fucking hat, the wind's blowing.